Alright folks, I've tried to record this video like 3 times. The first video I actually finished. I didn't like it. Second video, I didn't hit all the record buttons, so that sucked. So, what we're going to talk about is what people think of poor people. And if you're easily offended, if you don't like mean stereotypes, mean comments, mean language, and stuff like that, you don't like curse words, you don't like insults, you need to go ahead and click off this video. Because this video is going to be sarcastic and possibly insulting. But the only thing I'm doing is I'm reading back some of these haters' comments, and I'm going to elaborate on them. Because this is what people think of poor people. And it doesn't make me mad, it makes me sad. I forgot people were like this. I live in a poor area. We don't judge each other. We don't judge each other like this. And here's the deal. If you needed something, if you were here and you needed something, whatever it was, if somebody had it and they didn't need it or thought you needed it more, okay, there's the thing. They thought you needed it more, okay, they're going to give it to you because it's going to make your life better. And I'll give you a story right off the bat before I get into this this stuff I've written down. So I lived in 2 different apartments when I lived in North Carolina. The first apartment was $474 a month. It was a no bedroom loft. They call it a 1-bedroom loft, but it was a no bedroom loft. The bedroom was the loft. And it didn't have any walls. It was meant for 1 or 2 people, a couple. I did actually have a roommate in it. She took the downstairs and I took the upstairs loft. So I had a roommate in that situation way back when. But when I was moving in, I was really struggling to get my stuff in the door. And like 3 people walked up and said, "Hey, are you new to the complex?" I said, Yeah, how do you guys like it here? They're like, "We like it great. Hey man, can we help you carry this stuff inside?" "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it." So we all got my stuff inside. They didn't expect anything. I think maybe I bought them a soda or something. And one lady said, "Hey, I noticed you didn't have any bar stools or dishes. Do you need some of that stuff?" "Oh, yes, ma'am. If you have some of that and you want to give it away, I would be very grateful to have it." So she gave me her bar stools and a few dishes, which I had up until just a few months ago. And we're talking, this was the early 2000s. I still had her stuff just up until a few months ago. Right? And this was a poor person giving me what she didn't need. And what she thought I needed more of. Now, a couple years after that, I moved into another apartment complex. It was $630 a month. So I went from people who had an average income of, and we'll look it up, 474 times 3 times 12. So I went from an apartment complex where the people made at least $17,000, and this next apartment complex was $630 a month times 3 times 12. These guys make almost $23,000 a year. So these guys were way better off than the guys at the apartment complex I initially lived in. By, let's look, 17,064. They made almost $6,000 more than the people at the complex that I moved into first. I'm telling you, buddy, I was on the 2nd floor, and I had big furniture. Big furniture. And I got everything inside. Except this damn couch. And I still have the couch. I will show it to you. But I could not get this couch up work the next day. So I went to work. And I was talking about my situation. And my coworker said, hey, why don't you and I go talk to management? You just live around the corner, right? Yeah. Let's go talk to management and I will help you move that couch up those stairs. That's the last thing you got to move in? I said, yeah, it's the last thing I got to move in. So we talked to management and management said, hey, you know what? Go ahead and clock out. We'll call it your break. Head around the corner, help her get that couch upstairs and come back. So that's what we did. We clocked out. We went around the corner to my new apartment. It was right behind Walmart. And we moved the couch up the stairs. But nobody in that apartment complex who saw me struggling, they did not offer to help. But the first complex, lots of people offered to help. That's the difference between being poor and middle class. A poor person will help you. Middle class and up, buddy, you're scum of the earth. You're scum of the earth. How dare you even exist? But anyway, so I've given you a little bit of story, and we're gonna get into these comments and what people think about poor people. And if you are sensitive, click off now because I am starting this officially right now. I'm gonna start reading my papers, and I had to write it all out because I didn't do a good job explaining it the other day or last night. I was tired too. So, without further ado, did you know that poor people deserve all your hate and ire and limitations and everything horrible that happens to them because they're poor? Yep. They don't deserve anything. How dare they be poor? They're nothing but lazy losers who don't work. They're just sucking off the taxpayer teat. They're not even good enough to lick the dirt from your boots. They are pond scum. They're lower than pond scum. Those awful, horrible, poor people. How dare they even exist? How dare they even exist? That's horrible. But, you know, to counter that, I pay about $2,000 in taxes every year. I pay 100% of my taxes. For anyone working a W-2 job, your employer is paying about 50% of your taxes. Are you sucking off your employer's teeth? I mean, you're not paying all your taxes, as far as I'm concerned. And you're getting paid by the minute. Who do you think you are, not paying 100% of your taxes and getting paid to sit at your desk, even if, get paid to sit at your desk, even if it's just between tasks? How dare you get paid for that? Anytime, maybe your employer needs to implement AI. And anytime you're idle for more than 1 minute, you don't get paid. You know what? Here's the deal, folks. I bet it's coming. You're pissing and moaning about poor people eating food. I think you need to worry about yourself. God Almighty. Somebody eating food. You need to eat food to live. It's kind of like breathing. You need to live. You need to breathe to live. But that's okay, because poor people are just lazy losers. All they deserve is beans and rice because they don't work. And when they get a job that I approve of, then they can eat what they want. Until then, suffer. Suffer, you horrible, nasty poor people. How dare anyone be poor on my watch? You disgust me, you nasty poor person. So, what is the percentage of poor people that don't work? Well, this is the percentage of population that's poor. Poor people who live in a food desert, did I not? Look it up. Go ahead and look it up. All right. Let's look up the percentage of poor people that don't work. How many poor people don't work? How many of these lazy motherfucking losers don't work? So the working age for people is considered to be 18 to 64. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 64, you should be working. Now, many poor people who do work, and a significant portion of those in poverty who could potentially work, are engaged in part-time, low-paying jobs or face other barriers to consistent employment. In 2016, 40.8% of poor people aged 18 to 64 worked at some point during the year. And many of those not working cited barriers like disability, being in school, or they were truly unemployed and looking for work. Maybe even on unemployment. So, here's the deal. Not all poor people are able to work. Some of them are disabled. Some of them are retired. Okay? I wish they had more recent statistics. The working poor rate is the number of individuals in the labor force for at least 27 weeks whose incomes still fall below the official poverty level. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Allergies are kicking my butt today. But that's okay. I shouldn't take any allergy medicine. I am poor, and that money should go to something else, not allergy meds. I should, let my sinuses fill up with fluid and get a sinus infection instead. So this is a profile of the working poor in 2020. In 2020, 37.2 million people, or 11.4% of the nation's population, lived below the official poverty level, according to the Census Bureau. So total people in the labor force who were poor, 153,201 people. 6,036 are in poverty. The working poor rate was 4.1. Primary families, 66,781 in poverty, 3,260. I don't think these are right, but working poor rate, 4.9. Okay. This isn't quite what I wanted. I got a better research thing earlier. All right, here we go. 6.4 million were classified as working poor. 4% of those were in the labor force for at least 27 weeks. And some of these people are retired or disabled, and that's what I'm not finding here. But anyway, most of these guys are working. So labor force participation, this is really interesting. The working poor rate was 4%, meaning that about 4 out of every 100 people who worked at least 27 weeks were considered poor. Okay. And the working poor rates vary by ethnicity. For example, working poor rate for black women was higher than that for black men. Similarly, Hispanic women had higher working poor rates than Hispanic men. So women, God, that's that pay disparity between women and men. So, anyway, most people who are poor work, okay? That just is what it is, or you're not going to have anything. The government doesn't pay 100% of everything, okay? You still need an income of some type. Anyway, let's continue. Did you know that SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program? And people who are on SNAP still have money for food because the program says that they do? I mean, all SNAP is supposed to do is add to what they can already afford. Oh, no shit. Really? All right. Well, how much are these rich SNAP recipients allowed to make? I mean, my God, I could use an extra $300 in food assistance. How much am I allowed to make? Oh, well, shoot, my income limit is only $1,632, and then my allowable deductions in order to get the full $292 have to take me down to $1,255. Well, shit, how much money is that? Somebody yesterday decided that I have fully catered chef meals with my food stamps because I demand it. Because apparently I'm some richy rich poor person that can hire a chef while being on food stamps. I don't qualify for food stamps, folks. I go to the food pantry. In fact, I just got back from the food pantry. So, how much does this richy rich SNAP person get to make per year? $1,632 a month. This is a hard number, folks. So they can make $9,584 a year. Divide by 52. Divide by 40. $9.41 an hour. That's just about what the local grocery store pays here. I think the local grocery store pays about $9.50, $10 an hour. Ooh. So you know what's funny? The person making $9.50 at the local grocery working full time, they're not eligible for food stamps. And if you're making $10 an hour, you're really not eligible for food stamps. So, and this is a hard number. 1632 is a hard number. That you cannot go over at all. Not at all. You do not qualify if you make more than $1,632 a month or $19,584 a year. But SNAP is just supplemental. And out of that, you got to take out taxes. So they'll get about, if it's a single person, they'll get about 77% of their income. The rest of it's going to go to taxes. So $15,079 is their take-home pay. Divide by 12 times. They can afford a $300 and $76.99 a month place to live. There's no such thing anymore, folks. I don't believe there is. Unless you're renting a room in somebody's house. And that's a really bad situation to be in. Because if you're renting a room in someone's house, you don't even own, you're not even renting the whole house. And they can throw you out at any time. You know, so. And then you're like, but there's rules. Yeah, there's rules, but it's an unstable living situation. That's what I'm saying. $376.99. That's what they can afford in rent. It is, it's $550 here to live here. That includes the lot rent and the water, and that assumes that you own your trailer. It assumes that you own your trailer, that you're not paying for your trailer. Okay. So, and when they figure out what you can afford in housing, they don't take out the taxes. I think that's foolish. Foolish, because the taxes they take out of your income, you never see. You can't spend it, you never see it. But anyway, we'll do it that way. First, $19,584 divided by 12 times 0.33. $538 a month. The lot rent officially is $480 here. You just barely qualify, buddy. You just barely qualify. And that assumes that you own your trailer. Anything more than that is going to be a financial hardship for you. But these poor people on SNAP, they got extra money for food. That's not 100% of their money. You know, last time when I was on SNAP, and the last time was really rough. This was, after all the inflation and all this crap. That's why it's $292 a month. It would pay for 2.5 weeks of groceries. The other week and a half, I just freaking starved. Because there was no food here. And everything on SNAP counted. So if I got $292, I have to figure out how that's going to work. I can have this much meat, I can have this much frozen vegetables, I can have this much quick stuff, and I can have this much desserts or candies or fast snacks. And it all becomes part of the meal plan. Because I have to work 24/7. Oh, do you get time off? I don't. But you're like, well, Stacy, you're taking time off right now. No, I'm filming a video. I'm not off. I'm filming a video. I have to figure out what I've got time to cook, what I don't have time to cook, the meals I don't have time to cook, And then I have to make all of that work, right? Because even working from home like I do, I don't have time to cook 3 meals a day. I just don't. So something is going to be no cook, or something is going to be toaster oven only. You know, a lot of times, since I have to get everything from the food pantry, my no cook meal is cheese and crackers, or it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that sucks. Would I rather have cake and a Coke? You betcha. Do I hate poor people who have cake and Coke for lunch? No. Go right on, dude. Get what you want. Get what you need. I would never tell anyone what they can and cannot eat. I really hate that. I really hate that. When I was growing up, a relative of mine would start arguments at the dinner table. I usually would just get up and leave. Fuck eating. That'll kill your appetite like nothing else. Maybe he did it on purpose. We really couldn't afford to eat, so maybe he did it on purpose. Who the hell knows? But anyway, so please tell me where this poor person is coming up with this extra money. And by the way, where the hell are they living? If you're like Section 8, look up the income limits to Section 8. I did it last night, and I wouldn't be able to do it justice, because it's so much more than I make per month. It's unbelievable. This SNAP limitations and the Section 8 qualifiers are so far apart, the government needs to do something about that. If you're in Section 8 and you don't qualify for food stamps, something is wrong. They're literally paying for your housing, but you don't qualify for food stamps. Something's wrong there. Or maybe I was looking at the wrong numbers. I don't know, but look that up on your own. It's not a good look for me to look up Section 8, so I'm not going to do it in this video. So, all right. Let's continue on. I know someone who is on SNAP. I disagree with their lifestyle. They're not living the way I think they should live. And they're not taking care of their kids, or they're dwelling like I think they should. So how dare they get SNAP? They don't deserve it. And I will not help them. They will have to straighten up and live life the way I say. Then, only then will I help them. That is some self-righteous crap right there. So you fundamentally disagree with this person's lifestyle and how they're living their life. And you're not going to help them because of it. They're blood to you, and you're not going to help them if they need help. I don't know what to say to that, dude. But I've been faced with the same thing. And the last one was one of my relatives was like, they called me up. Okay, so let me tell you the story. It was 18 degrees. It had just snowed like 8 inches. And for some reason, I know what it was. I didn't get paid until that day. So I was out of food. I was out of everything. And I was still going to the store. I hadn't quite made the decision to start getting food pantry. But, so it's just freezing. And I'm starving. There's nothing to eat here. So I bundle up real good. And at this point, there's a hole in the fence. And I can get through it to get to Dollar General pretty quickly. So I go do that. And the Dollar General is closed. The Dollar General is closed. It's the closest store I can get to. Through the back way. There's no back way now. Well, technically there is now because all the fence is blown down again. But so I get there and they're closed. And I don't know why, but they're sure as hell not open. I find out later that their HVAC system failed, so that's why they were closed. I get home, and I'm starving, and I'm cold, and I just walked out. I just wasted my time walking out to Dollar General, and they're closed. And I still don't have any food. And I say something on the family thread. And one of my relatives calls me and says, well, I'll bring over some cans of green beans and macaroni and cheese for you. But don't expect any other help. I'm sick and tired of helping you. You know, I'm never going to help you again after this. What bill of mine do you pay? I would like a ride to the store. I have money. I just got paid. But I'm a loser because the Dollar General is closed on an 18-degree day because their furnace failed. But I'm the loser. It took everything in me not to tell them to fuck off and go to hell. I just got off the phone as fast as possible. I was like, oh, well, that's how you feel. All right, well, goodbye. But what I really wanted to say was, fuck off and go to hell, you son of a bitch. I'm cold, I'm hungry, and you're not helping things. And you're going to tell me you're going to take away the financial support that you're giving me. What fucking support is that? This person hasn't paid a bill for me since I was 18. Since I turned 18 and went to college. And fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I later learned that that particular individual wasn't taking their meds, but damage was done. I swear I didn't talk to them for, it was a long time. I was furious. No, I'm not going to offer you any more financial support. What fucking support are you offering me now? I pay 100% of my bills and have for the last several decades. Fuck you. All right. You know, and that's the thing. One of my relatives was like this individual for years. Being poor is your fault. It's your fault you lost your job. It's your fault houses are now 5 times the average income and you can't afford them. I bought my house in 1970 for $40,000 and I don't care that it's now worth $350,000. You should be able to buy your own house and it's your fault you can't. And I will not give you any money or rides or do anything with you. I won't even play with the grandkids until you straighten up and buy a house and be where I think you should be in life at your age. That is some uppity motherfucking bullshit. And there are people that think like that. You're not where I think you should be, so I'm not going to help you and I hate you. When you do what I say and you live life like I say, then I'll talk to you. Buddy, it's kind of like they say, if you're not here for my bad times, I'm not going to let you be here for my good times. It's just the way it is. You're either in my life at all times or you are not. I don't need judgmental people like this in my life. Not at all. And here's the deal. This person did, in fact, learn a very hard lesson in 2008. In the 2008 recession, they lost their job. They were suddenly poor and eligible for food stamps. This particular individual apologized to all of us. Literally called us up on the phone and said, I am so sorry. Because they did everything right. And they still got fucked. Well, no shit. You're not immune to poverty just because you're riding that high horse. And the fall, after being so judgmental and doing everything right, it's pretty humbling and ego bruising. And that's what this person ended up, experiencing. It's pretty bad, folks. Watch what you say because it could come back at you. Get a job and buy whatever you want after you get a job because there's no such thing as working poor, right? They're just lazy losers that sit on their ass eating bonbons watching soap operas. The thing is, this type of shit has gone down through the generations. I've said it in my 20s, not understanding what I was saying. Or my relatives said it. My grandparents said it. I'm sure my great-great-grandparents said it. You're poor because you don't work hard enough. You're poor because you won't get a job. That just doesn't hold any weight anymore. It's cliche. It's not the reason. And if it is the reason, it's not the whole reason. Has every job loss always been your fault? You weren't laid off just for the hell of it because your company wanted to scale back? What's the deal, man? So, Working aged adults are between the ages of 18 and 64, and about 63% of them are working. This was the stat that I was trying to. 37% of people aren't in the workforce, and I haven't been able to find it again. That's what we need. This is an old article. 37% of American adults are working 2 full-time jobs now. When was that? 2 years ago. More and more Americans are outside of the labor force. 2014. So in 2014, 37% of the civilian population aged 16 and over are neither employed nor unemployed. That was 2014. So anyway, I don't know where I got that stat. I wrote it down and it came up once and it's not coming up again. And that's the thing. Not all people who aren't working and who are poor are that way because they want to be. Some of them are disabled. Some of them are retired. That's kind of an interesting one. If you're 64, you retired early. I don't know. But anyway, if you're disabled, you can just, go back to work. And the disabled can get door greeter jobs at Walmart, right? I mean, how dare they think they can retire or be disabled? What the hell's wrong with these people? Get off your retired and disabled ass and get a fucking job. That's not how I feel, folks. If you're retired due to a disability, I want you to take care of your disability. I want you to get healthy. And then once you're healthy, if that's possible for you, and you want to get a job, by all means, get a job. My mom was disabled. I didn't judge her for it. I was sorry she was disabled. I was sorry she couldn't live the life she wanted to live because she was in so much pain. But hey, how dare we subsidize Coke and candy on the taxpayer's dime? What are these poor people thinking? Poor people don't deserve Coke or candy or salty snacks. The fuck are they thinking? They're less than pieces of shit. That's what those poor people are. They don't need cake or sugar or anything else that might taste good and help them feel more human instead of like a worthless piece of poor scum that can't seem to get ahead in life no matter what they do. And oh boy, SNAP recipients spend 30% of their entire income on soda and candy. Did you know that? Their entire income. Not just 30% of their SNAP benefits. All of it. All of it. All of it. So, the income limit for one person is $1,632 a month. The SNAP limit for one person is $292. So all poor people spend $577 a month on soda and candy. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that right there. While I encourage you to figure out where this person can live on the other $679 after taxes. The tax rate for a single person is about 23%. If you want to look at these numbers and do the math for other household sizes, which that would be this right here, folks. This right here. Go ahead and do it. And then tell me where they can live that isn't under a bridge. Pay for your own damn junk food. How dare they eat junk food? I can't even afford junk food. Well, if you can't afford junk food, maybe you should get on SNAP or go to the food pantry and get part of your food there. Or maybe you need another part-time job. Or to lower your car insurance. And end those gym memberships and just walk in the park. Or how about all those video subscriptions? Do you pay for all those TV channels? Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix. Each one of those is about $5 a month. There are ways you can afford snacks if you just get creative. I mean, That's what us poor people have to do. There's no reason to be bitter because you can't afford soda or a candy bar. Make it happen, you Richie. You're just wasting your money. That's why you can't afford snacks, you Richie. I know exactly how you should live. Even though I've never met you and just read your comments on YouTube or watch your videos. I have all your problems solved. It's right up here in my head, folks. I got all your problems solved. Just do as I say. And in fact, if you don't do as I say, I won't help you at all. I won't even give you my advice. That's not presumptuous, egotistical, or entitled. And that reminds me, how dare you think you can have candy and soda? These horrible, entitled poor people. Ugh! They're so gross! Maybe this not eating thing will help decrease the surplus population so that only the worthy humans continue on. That's from A Christmas Carol. Scrooge said it. Okay? What the hell? Let's reopen. Why stop there? Let's reopen the workhouses. Those poor people can go there and get out of sight. They're so gross they make my skin crawl. Those nasty poor people. Ugh, yuck. Buy your junk food on your dime and not the taxpayers. I always consider that every time I need any sort of government help, like food stamps or heating assistance, I'm just getting my tax money back. I've been working since I was 15 years old. That's roughly 35 years I've been working. And I pay an average of $2,000 a year in taxes. And that's an average across the whole 35 years. Some years I paid more. Some years I paid a lot more. That's $70,000 in taxes I've paid across my life. Do you think there are things I could do with that $75,000 or $70,000 that might improve my life now? Yeah. $70,000 would just about rehab this whole house. And if I really budgeted, I could get some land with that $70,000, refurb this whole house and move it to the land and hook up all the utilities. That's what my tax money could do for me right now. Okay? And there's no way I've gotten all that tax money back in food stamps or heating assistance over the years. And I've sure as hell paid enough of my money into the system to get something back when I need it. So I'm not taking your money, folks. And a lot of these working poor, they're not taking your money either. They're just getting their money back. Especially if they're freaking single. God, we get raked over the damn coals. Most poor people now work 1 or 2 W-2 jobs and at least one 1099 job, which means they're putting in their 40 hours, another 20, and then they're driving for Amazon or Shipt or Instacart or something. They're doing something. Oh, and I'm done paying for your roads too. I don't have a car. I bike or walk. So I don't want to pay for your roads anymore with my property taxes for my fake house. So give me my money back. I don't need the roads, so I want my money back. I don't drive. I ride a bike. And we don't need all these asphalt roads. We could go back to dirt because we can all ride bikes or walk. You don't need a car. Makes you think you deserve a car. Rip them up. We don't need them. Oh, and I would like for all the skies to be dark so I can view the stars at night. So let's rip out all the street lamps too. They're just wasting energy and electricity and all that shit. Does that sound like a good idea to you? Just rip up the roads and rip out the street lights. We can travel on dirt with lanterns hanging off our buggies. Does that sound good? But hey, why stop there? Make the poor people eat rice and beans and end the SNAP program altogether. Well, they did for school kids over the summer last year. Families who got reduced school lunches were told no food for your kids over the summer. Damn. That's harsh. But you know what? Those poor people, that's what they deserve. How dare they eat food? How dare they eat food? They don't deserve food, those poor scummy people. But hey, why stop there? Let's make it even worse. Don't even hand them rice and beans. Let's reopen the soup kitchens. Let's just put a soup kitchen in every neighborhood. They can go there and get all their 3 meals a day at the soup kitchen. They can just go to the food kitchen or starve. That'll motivate them. Maybe if they lose 100 pounds and miss a few meals, they'll actually get up and go to work. That's not very motivating. So, how many people do work multiple jobs? And I think we kind of started to get into this, but so in February 2025, approximately 8.9 million Americans were working multiple jobs, which is the highest number recorded since the Bureau of Labor Statistics began tracking metrics in 1994. This number represents 5.4% of all employed workers in the U.S., according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 8.9 million people. 8.9 million people. Those poor people, they're just lazy losers. They just sit on their ass all day, sucking on the bottle of the government. Don't use my tax money to buy Mountain Dew and Snickers. 19 million poor people live in a food desert. 19 million people live in a food desert, where about 6% of the U.S. population live in one of these low-income, low-access areas which are considered food deserts. These areas are more than 1 mile if you live urban, or 10 miles if you live rural away from a supermarket. I am semi-rural. My closest grocery store is 1.5 miles away. It's a 3-mile round trip. Depending on how you look at it, folks, I live in a food desert. Only one grocery store within 10 miles. The closest thing to me is a gas station and a CVS. Neither of those places sell fresh or nutritious food. Neither one of them. Okay? So if I'm in a bind, I can get chips, dip, candy bars, frozen pizza, microwave hamburgers, ice cream, and all the soda I can carry. That's what's available at those stores. Okay, that's what's available at the places closest to me. So if I can't, for whatever reason, get out to the local grocery, and a lot of times it's a time crunch on my end, I have to go to those places and get a quick meal. And guess what, folks? It's junk food. Why is it junk food? Because that's what they have. That's what's available. So what you're saying is that these poor people that live in food deserts, they don't deserve food. Because the closest thing to them is a store that sells junk food or frozen pizzas. How dare they eat that? Just starve. Just starve. It's just, they just don't count. They're just poor people. They made poor life decisions that led to their poverty. Like they had too many kids, or didn't work hard enough, or did drugs, or drank, or smoked too many cigarettes, or whatever. Poorness only happens to lazy losers who don't want to work. Needless to say, I saw a really lot of horrible comments on that Snap video. Some of them were so insulting and nasty that I actually deleted them. Nobody needed to read that shit that they said beyond me. Okay? It was awful. And I'm sure there's some I've missed. Because a lot of times, those horrible comments will be inside comments, and it's harder for me to find those. So if somebody has said a rude comment and I missed it, I apologize. I tried to get rid of the really, really bad ones. The cliches and the stereotypes, I kind of left those ones up. But I deleted the really nasty, insulting ones. And some of them were pretty bad. I honestly forgot how nasty people are to poor people. Because, it's their fault they're poor. They didn't work hard enough, or do the right things, or do what I say, or whatever. Pick a damn reason. I actually live in a poor area now. And we sure as hell don't judge each other off what we're eating or how healthy we are or anything else. If you need something, well, if someone here has it and doesn't need it, they'll let you borrow it, or they'll just straight up give it to you if they think you need it more. That's poor people, folks. That's poor people. And it's not that the comments make me mad, they just make me sad. That these kinds of stereotypes still persist. This absolute hatred of the poor. It's just, some people didn't do anything wrong. You know, they didn't mess up. They didn't commit a life foul, you know, that screwed them up like that. You know, where they're just poor because they made poor life decisions. Sometimes that doesn't happen, folks. Sometimes the crappy hands just keep coming. And no matter what you do, you just can't get out of it. You work, you work, you work, you work, you fight, you fight, you fight, you fight, you claw, you claw, you claw, you claw, you claw. And you take on more and more and more and more, and you work and work and work and work, and you just can't get out of it. It's just, it's ridiculous sometimes, folks. It's ridiculous sometimes. It's just like, sometimes no matter what you do, you just can't get it. And you try and you try and you try, and it's just not happening. And if that's what's happened to you, I know exactly where you're at. Because I bust my butt every day. I would say that if anyone else did everything that I do, they would be a multi-zillionaire. In fact, those are the stories that you hear a lot of times, especially in my industry. You'll hear that, you know, oh, this author was down to their last dime. They were about to be evicted. They couldn't feed their kids. It was a dire situation. And they took their last 32 cents and they mailed off their manuscript that they typed out on a typewriter and they carefully corrected with whiteout. And all of a sudden, at the last possible moment, they were saved from financial doom. Their book was accepted, and so were 3 more, and they got millions and millions of dollars right then, and they were saved. They were saved. That doesn't happen for all of us. Sometimes you bust your ass, you bust your ass, you bust your ass. You're down to your last dime. You're praying, you're praying, you're praying, you're doing. And it doesn't happen. Your big break never comes. Somehow you get through it. You find another dime and you can keep going. And you can keep going. But not everybody gets that big break. And that really is what sucks. Because who's to say how hard this person worked versus this person? And this person got their big break, and this person just made it by the skin of their teeth. You know, it is what it is. And you really shouldn't judge poor people. You shouldn't wish them harm. You shouldn't wish to do them harm. And here's the thing. If you can't help a poor person, don't harm them. Don't put them down. Don't make them feel worse than they already do. That's not right. That's not being a good person. And if you're religious, it's not being a Christian. You know. And that's the message that I want to bring to you. These are some of the horrible comments that I saw, and I've just elaborated on them sarcastically. You know, and I guess that's the end of this video. Anyway, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.